My husband took his own life, in the ruins of my life. Every stroke was a little Lego piece, putting it back together. Swimming greatly helped me, definitely saved my sanity. As soon as I enter the swimming pool, I literally feel most of my problems drift away with the flow. I love the feeling of water on my face, the rest of my body, and I feel that every stroke is almost an achievement. I've had a terrible, devastating 12 months. Around a year ago, my husband tragically lost his life. He was deeply depressed and took his own life. We had a great marriage. We were great together. He was my best friend. It came as a huge shock, literally overnight. My life went from this all rosy, fantastic job, great friends, athletic achievements, great husband, to a complete nightmarish mess. And a few months later, also my mother died. I genuinely wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy to experience such things in their lives. And I remember one of the first people I told about my husband was my coach. He removed all my trainings for the next 2 weeks. And I said, "What are you doing? Haven't I suffered enough? You also want to take swimming out of my life." So he reinstated some trainings. I was back in the pool 2 days after the tragic event. I had all this red, swollen face, and I remember just stepping into the pool, feeling water on my face, the rest of my body. It was such a great feeling. I swam around 3 kilometers then, didn't stop, didn't want to, didn't follow the training. But I felt literally that every stroke, in the ruins of my life, every stroke was a little Lego piece, putting it back together. It would be a cliche to say that swimming saved my life, but it definitely saved my sanity. It would be fair to say that I actually increased the intensity of my trainings following that sad event. I signed up immediately for 2 triathlon events, for several swimming races. I wanted to have a goal, I wanted to do things, I wanted to excel, I wanted to have that discipline in my life that every training gives you. It would be all too tempting to sink into a drunken void, right? Just sit in the bed all day in pajamas, drinking, but I didn't want to turn into a person like that. And swimming helped me preserve that discipline. I've done some open water races. I really love it. I love working towards a goal, but I wouldn't do any race. I like interesting places. I like to incorporate swimming into my regular travels, and I like events that are iconic. I was Googling tips about swimming, participating in the Bosphorus Intercontinental Swimming Race, and you came up. And I watched it and I was very impressed because you were talking about your own participation in that event. You came, I think, second in your age group, and I thought, wow, this guy definitely knows what he's talking about. So I started watching more videos, and I really like your style. You carry a lot of positive energy, right? And you explain things very clearly in a relatable way. And I continued following you, continued participating in other races, and now I'm here in Lanzarote. I love being in the company of such great people. I knew before coming here that we would all have a common interest, which is swimming, but I did not expect that everyone would be so passionate about the sport, no matter when they started doing it, whether early in life, whether later in life, no matter their skill level. I just love the crowd of people that we have here. I'm generally told that I'm an energetic person. I love being surrounded by people. That said, I'm an introvert, so I need my breaks. Where the energy comes from, steroids, no, okay. But my biggest regret is not starting swimming as a young child. Unfortunately, it's not a very popular sport in Latvia. So I played volleyball like everybody else. It wasn't really my sport, even though I really enjoyed it. I remember arriving into the local 50-meter pool, swimming from one end to another, almost dying out of breath, and thinking, do I really need this in my life? Or is this something that I'm going to be doing regularly outside school, outside work, in my spare time? And the more I swam, the more I loved it. Over time was passing. I've changed different countries, lived in different parts of the world, but the only constant was swimming. For example, I studied in Finland, and it's a very expensive country. I was working as a babysitter and studying at the same time, and doing all sorts of things like collecting plastic bottles at the end of the day to return them for a deposit. But I always made sure that there was money for swimming. I generally love swimming. I started with my great love for the sea even before I could swim. And I love open water races. I much prefer open water swimming to swimming in the pool. The pool is necessary for training, of course. It's integral to swimming training. In the beginning, I wasn't timing my swimming at all. We didn't really have smartwatches to begin with. And I was more interested in it as a way to unwind. There's a way to get yourself ready for the next day. I always swam before work, every single day. I got my first watch during COVID, when they shut the swimming pools, ironically. Then I got competitive. I started wanting to improve. That's when I started watching your videos, booking participation in those races, and now attending this camp. What I found especially useful was having sort of a not too remote goals in your life, such as a swimming race, something to prepare for, something to keep you going, to look forward to. And in this way, you feel that you've achieved something, right? And it's not something like, oh, in 5 years, I'm going to buy a house. It's something very realistic and very feasible, and in the short term as well. I love the feeling of being in the pool. I find that you become instantly almost weightless.